Hello YouTube. Today we're discussing the qualities of size and strength in the hypertrophy series. And this is something that is not super important for programming for bodybuilding, because as long as you understand the size portion, then all is well. That being said, if you understand it, you for sure also understand the strength portion, even if you don't know how to apply it or you don't want to, because you are going to avoid doing it if you want to train for size. And it's a very nuanced topic, because at the end of the day, if you want to progress in size, you're going to have to progress in strength. But the qualities and the focus and implications of the training and the difference it's going to make in terms of the speed at which each quality is going to develop is directly correlated with programming. So you hear a lot of people say low reps are for strength, high reps are for hypertrophy. That by itself is false, because a low rep can be low intensity and high reps can be high intensity. What is true, however, is that the quality of intensity is much more correlated with strength, and the quality of size is much more correlated with volume. Does it mean that bodybuilders only train volume? No, unless you are enhanced, in which case you can, because anything will work. You want to have both, but you will be on one side of the spectrum when you train for size, and that is going to be mostly high volume. Meaning what? Meaning that within your training, if I compound all of your rep ranges, it should be on the higher side. It should be, the most of them should be above 6 reps. If you're below 6 reps, you're going to have a tendency to not accumulate as much tonnage, you're not going to be doing as much volume. Does it mean that you won't get big from it? Not necessarily, but for most people it's not going to work. Why? It's simple math. You want tonnage accumulation for bodybuilding, the more reps you do, the better you can achieve that goal. In terms of strength, however, what is going to count is going to practice the skills of the lifts, and it's going to be able to get in the practice of lifting heavy weights at lower rep ranges, because when you compete in strength, most of the time, not all the time, you do low reps, especially in powerlifting where you do 1 rep. In strongman, sometimes you have to rep, but you rarely get above 15. So you have to be within that window of specificity to get better, and it doesn't hinder progression. Why? Because the quality of strength can be trained with a few reps, because you're going to make up for it with frequency. And you see that a ton. Bodybuilders are not going to be training the big 3, for example, as frequently as powerlifters, or at least they shouldn't. Why? Because powerlifters are going to train the big 3. Bodybuilders train movement patterns. And that's a few differences. I might make a video discussing the clear-cut distinction between the two categories, powerlifters, bodybuilders. But in this video, I want to express why certain people might have an issue putting on size. And it's because they fail to realize that. You see, if you want your muscles to grow, you're going to have to accumulate that tonnage. And the best way to do that is going to be to do a lot of reps, okay? But the qualities that will be developed by those reps might hinder your abilities to progress in strength. And that is, for most people, a deal breaker, because they're going to call it strength with progression. And the reason why is because they only know how to progress by putting weight on the bar. This is disregarding rep ranges, this is disregarding the evolution of strength and sets. Your strength as a bodybuilder will rise, but in terms of strength and size, your strength might do this while your size does this. Okay, so you're going to quickly see that one quality rises higher than the other. Why? Because you train it more. For powerlifters, it's going to be different. That being said, you quickly see also that size will not do this and strength will not remain here. It's not possible. And for powerlifters, it's the same. Their strength is going to go up and maybe their size is barely going up, but it's going up. And you hear a lot of powerlifters who say that at some point when you stall in terms of strength, you have to put in more volume. Why? Because you need to build the muscle that are going to develop the strength. It's the same for bodybuilders. It's just the other way around. It's a different logic. So you need to make sure that you don't fall into the pitfall of saying, I'm a bodybuilder, I don't train for strength. It's true, you don't train for the disposition and the exhibition of strength, but strength needs to be existing somewhere as a factor in your program because it promotes progression. And as far as those two qualities go, depending on who you are, they might be quite skewed. You're going to have people who are going to be super high on the strength scale extremely low on the size scale, and vice versa for bodybuilders. That has to do mostly with leverages, muscle insertions, and all of that stuff. And that is also a lesson to take to heart, because you might be one or the other category. You might be an outlier. And if you are an outlier, you're going to be very disappointed by the results you get. And I'm going to talk about bodybuilding mostly here. But if you're the type of person who has pristine leverages and your insertions are not the best, your strength is going to skyrocket, but the muscles surrounding the joints aren't going to grow much. Why? Because your strength potential is super high. And the worst thing you can do in those cases is to get discouraged and to just stop trying to train the quality of size, because you're going to find out that it's going to bite you in the butt in the long run. What you want is to abide by the principles of hypertrophy, which is what I talk about here. And I did that movement here because to me, hypertrophy is here, strength is here. So they share a wall, okay? But they're not in the same room. And as far as hypertrophy goes, as I explained, you want lots of reps within a relevant intensity window. You want to multiply the sets. This is your progression as a bodybuilder. I want to say that both powerlifters and bodybuilders are going to have they're going to have to plan their training on both the numerical and chronological scale, but it's going to be much more chronological for bodybuilders and much more numerical for powerlifters, meaning that powerlifters will focus on numbers and weight on the bar much more than bodybuilders, who are going to focus on the length of the sessions. And these are also discrepancies between the two qualities. Size is much more impacted by time, be it because of your hormonal profile, be it because of tonnage accumulation, which takes a lot of time. As far as powerlifting, you're going to find that some people are going to be able to peak in strength much faster. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that these same people couldn't be stronger, but because of the nature of the sport, the repetition of the training sessions takes place mostly via frequency and not necessarily with the length of the sessions, because of the reasons I exposed before. And therefore, because of the propensity of powerlifters to peak for a meet, that is going to result for a lot of lifters, a lot of powerlifters, to being extremely proficient in their sport early on in their career and potentially temper down afterwards. Is it a fatality? No, because the same thing exists with bodybuilding because of PED use. It just means that the two different disciplines do not really exist on the same path. And if you're going to want to pursue one or the other, you're going to have to learn to respect its codes. So that's that for this video on the qualities of strength and size. It's a topic I'm going to talk about more. I have a few videos I want to discuss it on with you. So I'm going to leave you with that. I don't want to spoil too much. Have a good day.